Hi, Eli. Do you want to do a quick introduction to yourself?
Sure. So my name's Eli Hajjar, Lafayette class of 2012, chemical engineer. I now work for Protiviti, which is an integrated management consulting firm. We do everything from internal audit to risk and compliance to technology consulting. And so within Protiviti, I work in cybersecurity consulting. Um, Also played soccer at Lafayette. I guess that's the that's the rest of the introduction.
And then why did you choose to go into the consulting field?
So to be honest, I kind of did engineering because I like math and science, and I landed on chemie because it just was the most interesting one to me after taking that freshman course. But I had always kind of been more interested in the business side of things, and so I thought I would get my degree, work in oil and gas or pharma or whatever it was, and then go back to school, get an MBA, and sort of transition to the other side of things. And as I was interviewing for jobs out of school, um, I had a friend who ended up putting my resume in at Deloitte, which is where I ended up starting out of school. And basically, when I went and interviewed, I liked the atmosphere. I was kind of like, I wonder if this is where I would more of a situation I would have ended up in post MBA or post sort of a few years in industry. And so I just said, why not? Let's do it. So it was not by design. I kind of just ended up there, but so far so good.
Okay.
Okay. What would you say your favorite part of your job is?
Um, so I think this is probably an answer you would get from a lot of people in consulting, but to me, it is the sort of the variety and the flexibility. So from a variety standpoint, at any given time, I might have a client in two or three different major markets. So this year I've been in, Dallas, Chicago, New York City, DC, etc. Um, and then each one of those clients sort of doing different work, right? And then from a flexibility standpoint, because we're consultants, we're on the road a lot. I'm in a hotel right now. We have a lot of flexibility to when and where we work. So if I'm not on the road, I typically work from home. It's kind of flexible if you need to start early, or work late or whatever the situation. So I like the flexibility. I also like the variety of the work. So I feel like, any given day I'm not doing the same thing.
So you talked a little bit about like that variety and flexibility, but what is a typical day at work for you? Maybe when you're on the road.
So in general, the day depends. Obviously, the majority of your day is always going to be spent supporting client work, right? So whatever project or projects you have going on. But typically, there's always a couple of other things that are um, sort of your supplemental items. So that might be working on some sort of thought leadership or like a new framework development that's meant for the firm. It might be helping with business development activities, right? So trying to go out and sell new work. It might be an internal facing project, right? So I know recently I participated in a hackathon within Protiviti. There's also a bunch of like, inter-office committees to set up volunteer events and stuff like that. So it kind of depends where you want to put those additional hours. But I would say generally every day is going to have majority client work, some element of business development or thought leadership or whatever that other thing you sort of choose to spend your time doing.
Okay.
So you talked a little bit about your path at Lafayette. What would you say? How would you say Lafayette prepared you for your non-traditional industry?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously Lafayette's a great school. Its engineering program is a great program. So, first and foremost, it teaches you a lot of the just sort of base analytical skills, the ability to sort of critically think and so on. And then I think going through an engineering program, just the workload, prepares you to sort of have to know how to manage your time and sort of balance competing priorities and so on. So I don't know if that's a or cliche, but that's what I took away, because obviously I don't use my degree in the most traditional sense, but a lot of those sort of critical thinking and analytical and time management skills, I think I still use.
Okay. Do you have any advice for the current first years that are current chemical engineers?
Um, so, I would say like definitely pay attention to your studies. For at least, I think, for our class, I think we had something like 32 chemies graduate, and the vast majority of them end up in chemie related disciplines. So you're in a major that is, highly sought after, well-paying, and so on. But, if you start to realize 2-3 years in, like maybe I want to do something that's a little bit less traditional, don't hesitate to look that way, but also do your research, right? So there are definitely a number of different ways that you can use that sort of degree that are non-traditional, and nothing to stop you from doing it, but you may have to do a little bit of research to figure out, like, what do I really want to do, and how can I sort of best position what I'm doing at Lafayette to make that jump.
Okay, well, thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Sure, absolutely.